Welcome back to another episode of Psycosmos. Today we're going to review all the comments that we've been getting over the last week or so, specifically targeting the sacred secretion process. Stay tuned for more. Want to give a big shout out and thank you to every single one of you, all of our new subscribers. We really appreciate all the support. This has been a really long journey for us. It's been a lot of ups and downs, not really in a spiritual sense. You know, we've always been keeping our vibes high, but just in the physical world, you know, a lot of things happen, and we appreciate all the support because we want to get really back into video editing and making for all of you guys. It seems like we're getting a ton of recognition now. Sacred secretion is becoming more mainstream as time goes on. People are gonna start waking up to the truth of what our human bodies do, as well as the truth of Christ and a lot of the other messianic figures, the truth of the Lord above, all that. It's just really super humbling that you guys have given us so much support. We love every single one of you, even the haters. We love you guys the most because you definitely need it. You might also be noticing the backdrop behind me. This is not something that we normally show. This is kind of our collective wall. We kind of live together in a big, nice apartment. We got boys and girls in here, so we got a whole bunch of different anime figures and stuff. We like that kind of stuff. We like Dungeons and Dragons, although we haven't played in like years, you know. This is just our way of kind of sharing more about us so you guys can get better acclimated to who we are as people. That's going to be one of the things that we really want to focus on, is making sure you guys know who we are. But without further ado, let's get into these comments. We got a ton of comments in this last week alone. A lot of them were, again, revolving around the sacred secretion process. Some of them weren't. And I want to preface, too, we got a lot of the same comments when I go over these. So if you don't see your specific comment, you know, I'm kind of grouping a lot of these comments together. And when we did make that sacred secretion video, you know, the one that has been blowing up recently, I think last I checked it's at like 40,000 views. That's the one where it says everything you need to know. That was actually before we wrote our book, and that was before we started getting into our local community and sharing this wisdom and having that feedback. We actually got a ton of feedback. So I'm talking probably like hundreds of people. We've been discussing, we've been trying to figure out what works for and what doesn't. And if it really interests you, you can find all of the data and information that we have pertaining to the sacred secretion, history, spirituality, everything of what it means to be a human being in our book, Psycosmos, a synthesis on human history and spirituality. You can go and pick this up on Amazon, BookBaby, Barnes & Noble, etc. It's pretty much on most of the platforms. If you find it out of stock, go to bookbaby.com. They have it in stock at all times. We're going to do a special this holiday season. We're going to do 20% off the book if you do it through BookBaby. The promo code is going to be Sacred Secretion. So it's only going to be for like the first 25 books of people who get it. So you go to bookbaby.com, type in Sacred Secretion for the promo code, and you will be able to get this for $80 rather than $100. The first question I'm going to go over comes from Patrick Dunn. Sugar should be separated from fruit sugar. For the highest spiritual week of eating, eat mostly fruit. Far worse things for health: meat, dairy, salt, oils, etc. Totally agree with this guy. One of the big things that we pointed out in that podcast was that you want to avoid sugar during the sacred secretion process. Of course, this is your monthly kind of process where your body is undergoing a massive healing surge. A lot of energy is hitting you. Your body has a whole bunch of chemicals and a bunch of doodads. You guys watched the video. You know all about it. But really, the key here is sugars, where we're talking about here with fruit sugars. Yeah, fruit sugars are a little bit different. You definitely want to avoid the non-natural sugars. All right, we're talking about the processed foods, the nasty, bad crap garbage that you know you shouldn't be eating. Fruits are all very good for you on your sacred secretion. Only one thing I would say to this one is you know, meat, dairy, salt, not really. You know, meat and dairy, sure, you kind of do want to avoid those just because they have a tendency to lower vibes. But salt and oils, it really depends. Salt, you don't want to have anything that's too acidic. If you have pink Himalayan salt, though, that's different. Olive oil, fantastic. I mean, it's it's a really great oil that you can cook in. You know, if you want to do like a vegetable medley or something, olive oil is great. Spencer says, so what you're saying is don't masturbate. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Just that. That's it. Our next question comes from Deanne Nelson, and it says, what if you don't have a spleen? Got a ton of these questions. Really great question. We actually did a podcast with Santos Bonacci a couple years ago. I asked Bonacci this. I asked him, you know, we've been doing a lot of research and we feel as though the spleen is a huge connecting organ. He didn't really agree. He said he had a friend who doesn't have a spleen and he feels like he's doing the secretion process. And Bonacci's right. But the real alchemy of a natural processed human body, the spleen actually plays a super integral role in this. Now, If you do research, you'll find that when the spleen is removed from a body, the liver, the pancreas, other organs take over for the spleen. We're still trying to figure out a ton of information on this. A lot of it's scientifically backed. So if you want to go digging through the book, we use a ton of scientific sources, because what we're doing is we're using science to prove that the alchemy is within already. Science already knows this, they just haven't put all the pieces together yet. But the spleen does play an integral role. It's considered the manger of Bethlehem, etc. It's where a massive amount of that plasma is going to be, but the liver, generally speaking, takes over for the spleen if you have the spleen removed. So if you do have a spleen removed, that's okay. You're still going to be able to fully take advantage of the sacred secretion process. However, you are going to probably have to work harder than most people, and that goes if you have any organs removed, any type of deficiencies to the body in any case, things like that. The beautiful part about the sacred secretion is that when you culminate it, no matter how little or how hard you try, especially if you try a lot harder, you'll actually end up healing your body, and it will be a lot easier for you. I mean, people who don't have a spleen are often told by their doctors that they have to change a lot in their lifestyle anyway, because the spleen is the immune headquarters of the body. If you don't have a spleen, or you have a partial spleen removal or something along those lines, it can really damage your ability to get sick and fight off diseases and things like that. So you probably already have to work harder as it is if you don't have a spleen already. But again, does not make a huge major factor as far as the sacred secretion process, because our bodies are so smart. The greatest machines ever created by God. The body itself will find a way to heal it, because it has to undergo this process, or else you basically will just age super quickly and die. I mean, there's really no way around it. The Lemurian Zombie. Is that a Super Mario song from a water world I hear in the background? Mika Lauer says, you make ads before your video, you fake too. Thanks. Mika, we have normal lives. We have day jobs. We all work. We all do our own thing. We all practice sacred secretion, and then we also go out and teach. We go to expos. We go to conventions. We sell books. We teach people. I give a lot of books away for free, especially if I meet people in person who are really interested in these types of things. We don't care about the money. We never cared about the money. The ads are there to help us. We're actually, the ads that paid for the last week that we got from all of you guys supporting us, watching our videos, and generating that content, that money, we made like $250, just being open with you. That money is going to go directly to having our buddy Rich come down and visit, so that we can make more content on sacred secretion. He's going to be here the week after Christmas. So every time that we make any money off of this, we're reinvesting it so that we can give more answers and more support to you guys. We don't care about the money. If you feel like you want to support us on Patreon, we love that. It's super generous of you. Seriously, thank you. If you want to support us by getting the book, thank you. We put tons of hours and effort into this book. It's like, you would have to spend probably like 20 or 30 grand just to be able to get all the books that took to make this one book. And the publishing cost for this book alone is like $75. So we don't really make a lot of money on these books as is. The publishers make more money than we do. Again, this is just for transparency purposes. We love you guys. We don't care about the money. If it was about the money, then we would have given up a long time ago. Invader Indigo says, yeah, Jesus was real, so is sacred secretion. Jesus taught it. And then he goes into the 12 chakra systems. Yes, I've looked in the 12 chakra systems. I work with some people who are professionals, who actually know tons. They're energy healers. They work with 12 chakra systems. I like the 12 chakra system too. But 7 chakra system is really easy for people to understand. It's more mainstream. We're not going to just start hammering away at all these super complexities just yet. So many people haven't even begun to awoken to the sacred secretion yet, so we have to keep it simple. We have to stick to what we really know, and what we really know is sacred secretion has fallen in line with the 7 chakra system more than it has the 12 chakra system. I still like the 12 chakra system. 12 and 7 are still great numbers. 7 and 12 kind of go hand in hand together. 7 days of the week, 12 months of the year, etc., etc. But ultimately, a lot of people, I feel like, are overcomplicating this, because it's not that complicated. Sarah Peters says, I'm absolutely fascinated. How would one be able to practice this while also being a parent? Great question. Parenting is hard. So when it comes to sacred secretion, emotional stability is super key. The physical aspects of it is super key. You want to make sure that you're not feeding your kids McDonald's and all that. I'm not saying that you are, Sarah. Definitely not saying that. Basically, there's a lot of parents that'll just default, give their kids whatever food that they want. They don't care. The real issue really comes to play is, you as a parent, how structured are you? A lot of parents will let their kids just kind of like do whatever, and that's great. You want your kids to play, experiment, and explore. But then I also know a lot of parents who are kind of negligent, and I also find that those parents who are negligent are not the types of parents that can take advantage of sacred secretion. So my assumption is, if you're here watching these types of videos, you're probably a really good parent. Okay, that's just my assumption. However, with that being said, because you're a good parent, you probably don't have a lot of time because you're parenting. It's really about balance. I mean, you have to maybe try doing the yoga with your kids, meditate with your kids. I mean, yeah, that's super hard. Kids trying to learn meditation is like impossible. Sure, but you can do it. You can train your kids to do it. It's just the same way that you train yourself to do it. It's just super hard. It's super difficult to do. But that's kind of where the duality of parentingship comes from. Hopefully, you know, you have a partner that can kind of take that flack, because most of the time people don't share the same signs. You know, it's really uncommon where you have two people who are in a relationship that have the exact same zodiacal signature. So your timings for the sacred secretion are going to be off by just a little bit. That's where you can kind of just default to that extra partner and say, hey, can you watch the kids? I gotta do my yoga. I gotta make my salad, or whatever you want to do. That would be my advice. Try to get as much help as you can, and take that time for yourself, because that's super important. If you can't take that time for yourself, you're just going to get stressed out and take that out on your kids. Not you, Sarah, but, you know, other people. Jacob says, actually, you are talking Harry Potter. Fetus deletus. No one says, why don't you try meditating for a few years, kids? Forget the details and research. You are lost in BS. The knowledge you seek is inside. I don't think you watched our video. Can you drink black coffee? Asks Stay Happy Kid. Yes. However, what I recommend is a quarter of a cup of black coffee once per day at the most, which most of you guys aren't going to do. You're probably going to drink the whole cup, or 2 cups, or 3 cups, if you really like black coffee that much. Look, all that matters is the balance of alkaline and acidity, right? You want to have an alkaline diet. Coffee's acidic. It's super acidic. If you drink a ton of coffee, it's going to acidize your blood, and then, you know, whatever. The whole point of this is to remain alkaline. If you really feel like you need that little extra shot of caffeine, caffeine can kind of mess with your spiritual ability in your brain specifically. It gets you super hardwired, which makes it really hard to focus. Which you might think is the opposite, because when you're on caffeine, you're like, oh wow, like I wake up, I feel focused. No. You're energized. There's a complete difference. You focus, what I mean is, like, you have to be able to silence your thoughts. It's really hard to do that if you're jumped up on caffeine. I'm just speaking for personal experience. Maybe you're different. Maybe you want to be able to drink as much black coffee as you want. That's fine. But I recommend you eat like a lot of broccoli or kale or something to balance it out if you're going to do that, because you need to have that alkaline diet. Ron and Heather say, here's some other helpful information. I hope this helps, and linked a video by John St. Julian. Love John St. Julian. His content's great. Go check him out. Resurrection X says, I would not give too much credit to your theory of the moon's influence over the temple of God, and then continues to go, ends it by saying, nice research, keep explaining the grand secret. Yeah, so one of the things that we've kind of found, I'm going to expand on this in a couple of the other comments later on, is the influence over the moon, okay? And I'm just going to keep this like really simple and short. What we found in our research by talking and asking with people is that it's really only in those beginning stages do the planetary objects make a super big difference. This is going to be a really super crucial answer. I'm going to probably bring this back up a couple of times throughout this video and future videos. The lunar cycles and solar cycles, all the cycles, super important. However, I'm going to use an example. There's a lot of people in contemporary religion that believe that angels and demons are above humans. They're more powerful than humans. And then when you get to a certain point of awakening, you find out that, especially with a lot of the research as we've done, you find out that angels and demons are actually below human beings. We as physical entities that are a mix of physical and spiritual, and basically all of the different forms that are put into one body, we actually have precedents where we can overcome those lower vibrational entities. Remember, the angels fell from heaven, essentially. That's why they're here in our plane of existence, where God sends them or what have you, but they have to lower themselves in order to come here, if you believe in that sort of thing. But the whole point of what I'm getting at here is that once you get to a certain point of enlightenment, a lot of the outworldly things don't have as much influence over you as you. You are the whole grand progenitor of your own being. This is where, once you master this cycle of sacred secretion process, I get people who, once they get it down pat, they're like, oh yeah, I feel like, you know, my oil's overflowing at certain points, or my oil's rising at certain points. That didn't really make sense before. It's just because you get into a groove of, you can basically do it all the time. If you are somebody who really wants to master this process, you have to basically live every day like as if you were to want to do this process. That's really hard to do. A lot of people don't want to do that, but if you do that, your body's just going to make more oil. The whole purpose of sacred secretion is you want to open up your body to allowing your body to understand that process, and that comes with the energetic portals. So really the truth is, you want to live your life completely by this. You don't want to just do it 1 week out of a month. You really want to do it all weeks out of the month of every year for the rest of your life. You want to live the best life that you can. But with that being said, I'm going to get into this a little bit later in this video, but really the key is balance, okay? I see so many comments, we're going to get into some of these, where essentially, you know, people are like, no, you have to stay high vibration all the time. You have to have your energy high at all times. You have to have your energy up in your brain at all times. That's incorrect. I'm just going to flat out tell you that's incorrect. I'm going to explain why that's incorrect. When God created the universe, okay, he basically had to fall. He had to disseminate himself. He had to scatter his essence. However you want to see it. He created the universe, Big Bang Theory, you're a science person, whatever. That's fine. It does not matter what model you're looking at. God actually had to lower his vibe, or its vibe. Source had to lower its vibrational frequency so that you can exist to even have a thought. All right, so the whole point of this is it's not supposed to be an exponential, line that goes up. It's impossible. You're going to get to a point, I know this, I went vegan for 4 months, and the first 2 months were great, the last 2 months were awful. And the reason was because my energy output was so high, but my physical body couldn't handle it. You need to sometimes have those points. This is why women have menstruation and ovulation. It's not just one cycle, it's two, because it's a roller coaster. It's a wave. Everything's a wave. Everything's a pattern. Everything has an up and a down. So you have to have an up and a down. If you're just all up all the time, that's where we're going to get into these nasty, angry comments of people yelling at me saying, oh no, you can only eat fruits and vegetables. Ashley says, I understand most of what you're talking about. My route was a little different. I followed Dr. Joe Dispenza's protocol, particularly the breathing technique, squeezing the muscles all the way up your spine, forcing CSF against the pineal gland, etc., etc., etc. Really great point by Ashley, by the way. There's tons of people talking about this. Joe Dispenza is one of them, Bonacci, Kelly Marie Kerr, John St. Julian, and plenty others. But the fortunate reality here is that regardless of where you're getting this information from, we need to combine forces and we need to figure out what's true and what's not. We're not trying to sit here saying, oh yeah, like we have the answers. Everything that we say is 100% accurate. No, what we're saying is this is what we found. This is our research. This is what's led to up to this point. You're talking about stuff that's been literally kept secret for a really long time. Thousands of years, guys. Thousands of years. This stuff is so crucial now. We need to all come together. We can't be fighting and saying this and this and this. No, that's not what Ashley's doing, but I will be covering that in future comments. I love Ashley's take here. If you find this information, you're already on the right path. This is one of those massive keys of enlightening, massive keys of awakening, massive keys of illumination. And we're trying to all learn this together. So again, great take here. Keep it up. Kamika Price says, these are the things they should be teaching in school. They teach in shit. I feel you, Kamika. I feel you. Lainey McKenzie says, Elon Musk hasn't been to Mars. Oh my god. I get so many comments like, why are you talking about Elon Musk? Why are you talking about Elon Musk is an asshole. He's not really going to Mars. You can't break through the firmament. Okay, yeah, I do agree, okay? We use that as an example. We said if Elon Musk wants to go to Mars. We didn't say when Elon Musk goes to Mars. We said in the video. I mean, I don't understand how people can get this shit, like, all twisted. Okay, it's like you're trying to just twist our words. We said, if you're the type of person who's like Elon Musk and you want to go to Mars, how do you do that? You can't just be a normal person. Sorry, it just doesn't work that way. You're not going to be a normal person. You have to learn how to manifest shit in your life. We didn't say anything about going to Mars or like whatever. We just used the example of if a man or a woman wants to do something impossible, how do they accomplish it? That's all we were going to go for, and everybody's way too fixated. Like, get off of Twitter. Charlie Clements, this is the most informational video I've watched on this topic. I think it's clear evidence in the Bible, other religious scriptures of how to lead a positive life. Very interesting. Thank you, Charlie. We appreciate it. We put a lot of effort and a lot of work into this. We're not biased. We don't care if we're wrong. We really don't care if we're wrong. We openly want people to come and share their experiences. Nicely, of course. We don't need your nasty comments. Not you, Charlie, but we don't need your nasty comments down below saying, oh, you kids don't know what you're talking about. Listen. You don't know what you're talking about just as much as we do, alright? You didn't write a whole book on this and prove it, like piece by piece with the science of it, alright? Like, we literally went and worked with Kelly Marie Kerr, with Santos Bonacci. We worked with these people on this book, and we are trying to discover what the truth is. We don't need the negativity. So it's comments like Charlie's here that really keep us going. So thank you guys. Seriously, we love you. Michael J. Armstrong. Many paths lead to the same truth. Golgotha is an empty tomb. Gratitude. Gratitude. Swanya, in my opinion, the sign the moon is in definitely plays a part or can nearly forecast a person's mood. Speaking of moon signs, I know an old farmer that had his knee surgery planned according to the moon signs, and he says he didn't bleed much, healed quickly, and never had any problems with it. Swanya, you are 100% right. You can actually do a whole bunch of things based off of the lunar cycles. I highly recommend if you're going to do surgery that you should look into those types of lunar cycles. If I'm not mistaken, doing surgery on a new moon is way better than doing it on a full moon. Full moon causes your blood to flow a lot faster. faster, just because again, the moon controls the tides. We're made mostly of water. So at a full moon, your blood, I think, I could be wrong, I believe it's full moon, your blood will actually flow faster, which will cause healing to be a lot slower. If you do it on a new moon, your blood will flow slower, which will cause healing to be faster. Very interesting take. Love this comment. Here's a big one. DS says, question on women who went through menopause. Should they practice this even when they're blah, 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 blah? Yes. Menopause does not make a difference, okay? When I was talking about the fertility of a woman and her utilizing her eggs, it's more of an energetic thing for women than it is a physical thing when it comes to the sexual organs. This is why the vagina works the way that it does. When a vagina orgasms, you know, it's full of vibrational frequencies. Same with the man's genitalia as well. However, a woman's is a lot more complex. It's a lot more complicated. It's like a flower. So it has a lot of ins and outs, undulatings, in and outs. If you guys are laughing at home, that's fine. I don't care. All I can tell you is this. Your ovaries are attached directly into the base of your spine. I proved it in the book, iliac artery and the ovarian arteries as well. Or if you're going through menopause, that's fine. As you get older, you still want to utilize this process. It's not just going to go away if your fertility goes away. That's not how it works. And the longer that you do this process when you're younger, the longer you'll actually have your fertility. So they say. I'm not even 30 yet, so I wouldn't be able to tell you. Blue Wang says, I flushed my sacred secretion down the toilet. Good for you, kid. Earth Allen. Yeah, but the earth is flat. Okay. I'm going to say this one more time. We do not give a shit what shape the earth is. I give flat earth people their kudos. NASA does lie about some things. They're a really sketchy organization. I get it. I know that there are people who have lied about the shape of the earth. I know that a lot of the Copernicus stuff doesn't make too much sense. I know. However, with that being said, I have still yet to see, and I've looked into it deeply, I have still yet to see any dramatically good evidence for a flat earth. The thing about the earth shape is this. Earth, depending on what schemata you go by, was either at the heart or is at the dick of the human body. When you go as above, so below, you zoom out, you zoom in, the earth, like, people have different placements for the earth. If the earth were flat, which it could very well be, I'm not saying it's not. If the earth were flat, I need to see where that is in the body. I thought maybe it's the spinal column, maybe, but there's got to be some kind of significance. Most of the organs are they're 3D in shape as far as like the spheroid kind of way that it is. The heart is kind of like that. Again, I'm not saying that it's not. I personally think that the Earth is a toroidal shape. Just going to throw that out there. I think that there are holes at the poles. I think that the way that we are imagining a 3D sphere or a flat Earth is just wrong. I think both of them are wrong. I'm just going to be really honest with you. I don't have the answer. I don't care. I don't really care about the shape of the Earth. It does not play any significance whatsoever in the sacred secretion process within. Yes, do I think it's an important topic? But do I think that we have all the answers on it? No. There's like, it's not even evidence. I would say it's more just like speculations. I consider all of the stratosphere cameras with the fisheye lenses that they put up there, I consider all that just as sketchy as like these weird schematics where the suns and the moon's going like this and shadows. And what about the zodiacal belt? Like, nobody ever talks about the zodiacal belt when it comes to flat Earth. I don't get it. I'd love for more people to, I guess, educate us, but if I'm really being honest, we don't care. You can stop with the flat Earth comments. You can stop with the round Earth comments. We don't care. It doesn't make a difference on the human body to us. As above, so below, everything's important. It's one of those things that we're just not willing to die on a hill for. Nicole, the best way to have a perfect / fulfilling life is to appreciate everything about your life, the good, the bad, everything. Very, very true, Nicole. This is, again, going into where I said, you know, you can't ascend this way. It has to be like a stock ticker. You're going to have your ups and downs, but it's going to be at an upward trend. You need to have that vibration lower, just like you have to embrace the bad things that happen to you in your life so that you can learn from them and move on. Nobody has no such thing as no bad things in their life. Life is a struggle. It's extremely difficult. We're here to learn a whole wide variety of things while we're here. We're here on our own spiritual missions. To just assume that you're supposed to just be good all the time is wrong. Again, I'm going to use the analogy. God had to lower itself in order to create itself. It was a massive burst of energy, just in the same way that you have to ejaculate into a woman to make a child. And you know, that's a massive amount of energy. That uses up energy from both of the bodies. When the woman becomes impregnated and the man is releasing his seed into her, yeah, that uses a shit ton of energy for both bodies. It does. So God had to lower his vibe to some extent. He had to give energy to some extent to have us be creation. Old Mate says, most people, if able, will shut down Kundalini energy before it reaches the crown because of the excruciating intensity of the feeling, etc., etc. Yeah, that's true. A lot of people get really turned off by sacred secretion. A lot of people get scared. A lot of people get anxious and worried. There's a lot of blockages that you might have in your body. There's also you could also be the type of person who never really maximized your energetic potential and now you're starting to get into it. And that is very dangerous. What I recommend is you take things incrementally. You do not have to hit the finish line right away. The wise sages who started writing about sacred secretion said that it took years and years and years and years and years to get the practice right. So if you screw up 1 month or something, like, you gotta just keep going back at it and trying, but like, do it at your own pace. This should not be something that becomes such an unhealthy obsession that it ruins your life. So that kind of placates into what he's talking about. Make sure that when you are raising this energy, that you're very careful with it. You're not trying to force it. It has to be natural. You have to feel the love inside of you. You have to feel source. You have to feel the light. Ryan LeBlanc said, you bums just stole Santos Bonacci's work. We've done podcasts with Bonacci. We know Bonacci, okay? The reason that we wrote this book was because we saw Bonacci wasn't really talking about this anymore. He wanted to talk about flat earth, which is cool. He can do whatever he wants. But I've also noticed that in the recent years, he has been somewhat like less active. He started his Syncretism Society, which is awesome. You guys have to check out Santos Bonacci if you haven't already. But it just seems like the interest in sacred secretion kind of diverted, so we wanted to take up more of a proactive approach. That's really all that it is. Bonacci's doing great work. We love Bonacci. Big shout out to him. It's really just, we're building a community all collectively together online. Bonacci himself, in our podcast that we did with him, admitted that he used the works of Samuel Aun-Weor, which is a 33rd degree Spanish Freemason, who was able to get all this information out and talked about it in one of his books called The Holy Matrimony. That's where Bonacci got his stuff from. You're going to call Bonacci somebody who's just going to copy? Samuel Aun-Weor didn't discover this. You know, Saint Germain didn't discover this. Manly P. Hall didn't discover this. Jesus Christ didn't discover this. This has been something that's been in our bodies since we were created. Nobody discovered this. We just awakened to it. That's all it is. ML says, after 2 years from this video post, are you guys still on this subject, I wonder? Yep, we're doing it right now. We love the support that we've been getting, so we're just going to keep making sacred secretion content for you guys. Robin Gamble says, it was mentioned that from here on, Christ Jesus was going to speak in parable. Thank you for sharing your knowledge with us. You're very welcome. And yes, a lot of what Jesus talks about is parables. I know that's not a very popular opinion, but Cest La Vie. In response to Is It Leon's question, what useful information did you get out of this video? James Claflin said, it was entertaining to hear about YouTube's new uneducated incel cult. I swear to God, these people need reality to slap them in the face and quit spreading misinformation. Okay, go get this book, go read it, point to me what is misinformation. I won't listen to anybody saying that it's misinformation specifically on sacred secretion until you go and you read this book, and then you go through the entire thing, you read all 800 pages, and then you come back to me and you tell me exactly what's wrong with it. Go ahead. You tell me what the misinformation is. You didn't even watch the video. If you don't want to be enlightened, that's fine. Don't dog on it for everybody else. Unrelated with that, El Knows World said, I am dying inside with laughter. Then writes a whole book where basically he's just upset that we talked about eating meats every once in a while. Again, this plays perfectly into what I said before. If you want to be the type of person who comes off this way, where you're just bashing people angrily because you have so much internal anguish, I don't know who hurt you, El Knows World, but I want you to know. That's all I'm hearing from this is the theme song for El Knows World, because I can't I see shit like this. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to make this a personal attack, but like, this is ridiculous. I'm not reading this entire book that you wrote me saying that I'm wrong because I told people that they can eat meat every once in a while. Alright? Meat has minerals in it. If you go and you look at vegans, they have to take a lot of the time mineral supplements to even out their bodies because they're... Yeah, I agree. Eating animal products is wrong. But it doesn't mean that you can't do it completely, because you need to lower your vibration sometimes, and that's the best way to do it. The best way to lower your vibes is to have sex or eat meat. That literally. So if it's your time of the month to lower your vibes, or if you need to relax, you know, there's plenty of people, initiates and sages, wise sages. It's like, it's in almost all the written books. It depends on which book you're reading. I highly don't recommend that you eat pork. I highly don't recommend that you eat raw fish either. But other than those things, it's like, if you want to eat chicken, why can't you eat chicken once a month? Twice a month? You want to be a vegetarian, you want to eat chicken twice a month? So that you can get a little bit, you want to eat a well-done cooked steak once a month? What, you're going to go to hell for that because you lowered your vibes a little bit because your body cannot handle high vibes? This is the problem in this community right now. You have people who think that they know what they're talking about. They get so hyper-obsessed, they get on one-track mind, one pointillism, and they stick with it, and they don't change, and they don't open their mind, they don't try to experiment, they don't try to see anything beyond what they've been told. Okay, do I recommend eating meat every day? No, I'm pretty sure we said that. Do I recommend eating meat maybe once in a while? Yeah, I do. I absolutely do. When you have people when you raise that energy too high in your brain to the point where your body physically can't take it anymore, you're stripping your body of energy and minerals and nutrients. Your soul, your vibrationatory signature needs specific chemicals, a wide variety of them, and all the different organs need them so that you can function properly. It's literally about balance. It is not one way or the other. Jesus walked the middle path. In Kabbalah, if you want to go the Kabbalistic route, we're talking about that central line. In Hinduism, we're talking about the Sushumna, which is the central point of the Kundalini with the Ida and Pingala. Okay? What do you want me to say here? Like, first of all, food is like one of the things that has, I would say, a less precedence over this awakening cycle. You know how complicated? Have you done any research on the intestinal tract and how complicated that is? You poop out most of it anyway. You're not making your point. You look like you're just wanting to get your own word in there, and that's fine, but like, do it a lot nicer than this. This is not the way you do it. Gino says, Kelly Marie Kerr wrote the book. Yeah, we know. Kelly's one of our best friends. She even wrote the foreword for our book, too. Kelly is one of the greatest people I've ever met. She is, and I know her personally, she is one of the kindest souls that you could ever have a conversation with. Hyper intelligent. You know, she's just a love to be around. So yeah, Kelly's a great friend. Go check out Kelly Marie Kerr if you haven't already. She's been talking about this before we have. LD Tarot says, anyone reading this who wants to begin tracking the trains of the moon, there's a free app called iLuna, which will allow you to see what the sign the moon is in, etc., etc. Great advice for the app. But then she also goes on to say a couple of things about the lunar cycles. And then this has been a big contention point. I brought this up earlier. Sun and lunar cycles. Which one's right? Are we going when the moon is in my sun sign, or the moon is in my moon sign, or whatever? Again, like I said, from the research that we have done, from the people who have put this information together, George Carey, Samuel Aunweor, all these, Thomas Burgoyne, all these other people who have talked about this in the past, Harold Percival, all of them say when the moon is in your sun sign. They all say this. Do I have a theory that it could be different? Yes. Do I have a theory that it's different for men and women? Potentially. But again, my major theory with this is, once you figure out wherever it is in your cycle, I would start with the moon being in your sun sign. If that doesn't work, try with the moon being in your moon sign. You could be different. Maybe it's different for certain people. Maybe it's different. I don't know. We don't have enough data yet, and it's been lied about for thousands of years, so we're trying to figure it out. Do what works for you, but once you start activating that process, you can really do it a vast majority of whenever you want if you stick to it. And of course, that doesn't mean you can just do it immediately. You have to have a lot of preparation for that. But yeah, you can do it a lot. I do it a lot myself. You know, a lot of the time after I do yoga or meditation, I can feel a little bit of it. It feels way more to me when the moon is in my sun sign, but it's just different for everybody, I guess. It's really what we've been getting at. We're trying to figure it out. I'd love to be able to work with some universities so we can get some real scientific case studies, or Dr. Joe Dispenza. That'd be great, because I know he's got his own thing too. Once we start becoming more mainstream, we can actually get that support where we can do case studies on this, it's going to fly off the handle. So if you can figure out a way to help support us, that'd be great. We'd love to be able to run more experiments on the human body for the purposes of finding the real accurate data of the sacred secretion process. I think that you can do it whenever, after you get to a certain point. And a lot of the sages believe that too. All right, Mika says, when people say that religious stories are meant to be taken allegorically and not as historical reading, it always baffles me that nobody ever seems to consider that they could be both. They are both. They're everything. We talk about it in the book. That's why it's a synthesis on human history and spirituality. So get the book if you want more information. The video that you commented on was just strictly about sacred secretion. DC, nice call on Orgon energy. Fuck the 5G towers. This guy gets it. Crispy Brown says, thanks for outlining the beginner's process. We'll utilize this for sure. Looking forward to what is sure to be amazing. Yes, thank you, Crispy. We love the support once again. And again, just want to detail, beginner's process was the key. We are going to be making a video in the next 2 weeks. It's going to be as much of the information that we know about the sacred secretion as possible. This video is the precursor to that video. So, you know, that's what we're doing right now. We're gonna have more for you guys very soon. So just keep staying subscribed, keep watching. We're gonna get you guys all the content that you want. And then this plays into it as well. Nick Watson, hate to be that guy, but still waiting on an update to this video with a clear step-by-step. That is also coming. We're gonna make a step-by-step of what we do, so because again, we're not trying to tell you guys how to live your lives. You do whatever you want. You want to flush it down the toilet, flush it down the toilet. We don't care. We just are trying to share our experiences because we have had massive success with our manifestation powers. We're growing our online platforms. We're helping people, 100,000, millions of people. Millions, and I do mean millions because our most viewed video has over 10 million views on our second channel. So we got plenty of comments on there that of people where it helps motivate them and help them. So yeah, again, we love you guys. You know, we want to give you that step-by-step guide, and that's going to come very soon. Esther says, aha, that's what I experienced, the buzzing vibration, but I've had it many years ago. I just didn't know what it was. Yeah, a lot of people will experience sacred secretion without even knowing it. A lot of it comes from just like interacting in your life. If you've probably felt it before. If you've never felt, if you never experimented with it and you never did the process, you've definitely probably felt it before. But really, what it comes down to is, are you consciously aware of what's going on? That's that, and then how to kind of emulate that process again and again and again in the body. Vincenzo says, I have one question: how should one behave when he is in a bad mood because of unpleasant conditions surrounding him? It is impossible for us to feel well every hour, every day, but how can we cope usefully with the bad thoughts and stress? Again, plays into what I said. Relax. You know what relaxing means? That means lower your vibe, okay? The problem with high vibe people is that they can't relax. They get so high strung and then they get stressed out and they do horrible things. Even if they're like super spiritually inclined, a lot of the ancient sages used to talk about energy manifestations and manipulations. The head and the dick are very similar. Okay, if you look at the face, you know, it's basically like the whole face, the way that it's structured, the front of the face is the same way as the genitals, and the sacral pump is basically the brain. The midpoint here at the heart, that's really where you want to be. You want to be moving from these two major parts of the body to these two major parts of the body, and this will create this beautiful synergy, and then you can pull from that root energy and utilize it for this, the heart and the mind. If you're too mind focused, I mean, look at every hero story. The hero isn't super smart. The hero isn't super barbaric, like, you know, low vibration, horny dude. The hero's got a good heart. That's the whole point. The evil madman has the mind. The brute dictator is the guy who's down here. Okay, the hero's here. All right, if you want to be the hero, you got to live the center path. That's right here. So that means that you're gonna have those stresses. You're gonna have those bad thoughts. You're gonna be angry. Everybody's angry. If you're the type of person sitting here like, that's not true, I raise my vibrations, nothing bad ever happens to me in my life, you're full of shit. All right, that's just not the way that life works. So how do we cope with these bad thoughts and stresses? Well, it's about balance. So if you're low, you should go high. And if you're high, like if you're stressed, you're really anxious, you're like shaking, you're vibing too high, you want to lower. Okay? So when it comes to those bad thoughts and stress, you got to relax, turn your frequency down. So vibration and frequency are two separate things. All right? Your vibration is basically the way that, like, where you are, and then your frequency is like how fast or how slow that energy is going, regardless of where it is. If you have those bad thoughts and stresses, you need to find something that can warp your frequency in a different pattern. You need to find a distraction. You need to find something that helps you relax. That would be my recommendation. I know that's a lot harder said than done. It's probably shitty advice, but maybe that will help. I don't know. When you're going through your sacred secretion process, you're gonna have a whole turmoil of emotions. You're gonna be horny. You're gonna be angry. You're gonna be hungry. You're gonna want to do physical stuff because it's an inversion, it's an opposite, it's a reflection. Okay, this is when your body's healing. It's trying to take in as much as it can. Let it do what it's got to do. Don't go for the outside stuff, and let it go. Let it do its thing. Let those emotions pass over you like roaring waves. Okay, just let them wash over you. Harness that energy. Raise it up. Raise it down. Wherever you got to go. But try to just remember at your center what you love and what keeps you happy and what keeps you relaxed. That would be my advice. So, sorry if that's bad advice, but... DJ says, I did practice this for a year and the results were very profound and has changed my life. I'm very glad to hear that. Continue on that path. Sounds like you're doing good. Sean says, really though, Chad? You had to put a picture of Chad? Really though? Yeah, I did. I like the Chad meme. Okay? And it got a lot of attention. A lot of people like it. I'm gonna do whatever I want. Yes, I did. I did put the Chad. There he is. I'm gonna put him right there. There he is. What are you gonna do about it? Sarah says, finally, the missing piece of the puzzle. I was reading about IUDs, form of birth control, and one doctor said that there was no physiological reason to bleed, and then she kind of goes on where it's just like, that's just silly. That doesn't make any sense, right? Like, why do doctors not know anything about the female anatomy? I'm not gonna get too deep into it. I'm not an expert. Yeah, doctors don't know what they're talking about. I'm sorry. I don't like doctors, really. I work with a lot of doctors that I really like. But I don't like conventional doctors that don't know really anything that they're talking about. All right, Bentley James. I know the information is true. I've heard this before years ago. Seaman plays a big part in this topic as well, and I'll leave it there. Very true. In Book 17 of the Zohar, which is an ancient holy Jewish texts, which details, actually has a lot of sacred secretion stuff, whether people know about it or not. In the book, there's a point where King Solomon, King Soul of Man, he's supposed to be like the hero. He's an epitome of somebody who's trying to reach enlightenment. He asks, I believe it could be Ashmedai or Naama. Either way, it's the king or the queen of the demons. I think it's Naama. And he asks her, how are we supposed to control the demons? And she answers him by saying, it is through the power of boiling hot semen, and it is through the power of the Shamir. So what those two analogies are really in reference to is the sacred secretion process. It's utilizing the power, because boiling hot semen has to be boiling hot. If it leaves the body, it's no longer boiling hot. So any type of ejaculation is wrong when it comes to that time of the month. That's not what you're supposed to be doing at all. Of course, other people have different opinions, but the whole point is the boiling hot semen is supposed to stay in you, and it's supposed to boil. In other words, it's supposed to recycle itself. Because that's what a boil is. It's just the water evaporating into steam. So it's like a recycle. Thick Sully says Kundalini and sacred secretion are different. Yeah, they are essentially, but Kundalini is the Hindu form of sacred secretion. They're different in the sense of the way that they're described, but that's a lot of the time because people believe Kundalini is purely spiritual. It's not. If you actually have to dig really, really deep, but if you find specific yogis, they'll talk about that there are chemicals in the body. But they call it liquids or rivers or manna from heaven or whatever. But they'll talk about the physical aspect of Kundalini. It's just really, really, really not as known as the spiritual. But either way, Kundalini, sacred secretion, they're basically the same. Again, we're talking cross-cultural. For the sake of enlightening people, we have to not really cut corners, but we do have to just kind of not be so detailed with it, because it's really simple. It's just live a good life, but the details is where everybody gets super mixed up in. So we are just trying to put everything together to make it easier for everybody. Lions Light said, this was the best podcast I ever masturbated to. Awake Together says, this was very interesting, but the one thing that did not resonate with me, and I feel so deeply that I'm right, was the part about masturbation. That is the most natural thing in the world. It's your body. I feel that saying that it would somehow affect you negatively is just some bullcrap we've been fed for eons. Time to leave that paradigm now, guys. I responded to this and I said, if you really want to die on the hill of masturbation, you can. If it's that important to you that you think, oh yeah, everything else, but not that. That one thing you said, it's the same thing with the guy with the chicken. Really, people? We're like, hey, look, it's the epitome of all human alchemy and creation. It's the greatest thing since sliced bread. And you're like, yeah, that's pretty good. I agree with everything, but this one thing, nuh-uh. You guys are wrong. You guys are wrong. Why? Because I feel it. It's me. It's my ego talking. Look, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not even going to say you're wrong. What I am going to say is, you got bigger problems if your priorities are in masturbation or whatever else. Sorry, you know, I'm not trying to single you out. I feel like we get a lot of comments that are like this. I should be able to jack off and all this stuff. Look, if you want to do it, do it. I don't care. I really don't care. I think that, I mean, do you have to masturbate? Do you not have a partner? I mean, maybe somebody else could help you with that? I don't know. I feel bad for you. That's all I can say is I feel bad. Like, your head's literally in the gutter. Get it out of there. If you do that to de-stress, maybe you don't smoke, maybe you don't drink, maybe that's all you do to de-stress. Whatever. I'm not going to tell you how to live your life. All right? But to get this so upset about something, hey, I see the heart and the butterfly and the earth, and I love you too. But to say it's bullcrap is untrue. There's plenty of scientific case studies that show that over-hypersessing about masturbation rewires the brain for both male and female. I'm hands off. You do whatever you want. I'm not going to tell you how to live your life. Just really weird comments. Mr. H. It has suddenly dawned on me that this process could happen once a year in line with Christmas, perhaps, just when the general population is stuffing their faces. Yes, so the universe does have a process for this. Christmas is a really big one. The sun dies on December 21st, as most of you probably already know, and then it awakens on the 25th. I'm more inclined to believe that the sacred secretion of the universe has to do with comet Anki. Anki is a comet that goes in and out of our asteroid belt. Asteroid belt's super, super, super duper important. Asteroid belt's like the Jesus of our solar system because it was the sacrifice, right? So Dionysus and Bacchus of the Greco-Roman era, they have a story where the 12 titans, the 12 zodiacal signs, brought Bacchus, Dionysus up into the air and split him in a whole bunch of pieces. That's the asteroid belt. That's the sacrificial part of the Christ. That's why Virgo, the zodiac sign, which is where the house of bread is, right here in the solar plexus, where the Christ seed is made, is associated with Chiron, which is an asteroid. It's the only sign that's associated with an asteroid. Why? Because it has to do with the zodiacal belt. The Virgo, the belt right here, it's the zodiacal, or the asteroid belt, the zodiacal belt. These are all belts because this is where the Christ seed is born right here. This is why Mary has her garner of red, or her silver sash, or whatever it is. You know, there's like a ton of different things I could get into on this. But the whole point is, I think that the sacred secretion process has to do with the comet Anki going from Taurus to Scorpio and then Scorpio to Taurus every single year. It has a whole wide variety of meteors that fall. That's called Taurid meteor stream, and it goes from one end to the other every single year, twice. It's literally 1 year of our solar cycle for Earth is like a whole month for the sacred secretion within man, if you want to see it that way. That's just my theory. That's the way that I like to see it. I've done a lot of readings on the solar system, the as above, so below aspects of this, so that's just my opinion. Brian Freeman, it cannot be exactly once per month since there are exactly 13 lunar cycles, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I know. When we said once a month, we're not talking about months, we're talking about lunar cycles. So that's just to reiterate. Yeah, you're correct. It's technically like 13 lunar cycles. It's not like 13 completely every single year. There is some carryover because of the way that our Gregorian or whatever calendar lines up with it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's your lunar cycle. You're going by the moon. You're not going by the calendar. You're going by the moon and where the moon is and the placements and the zodiac sign and everything like that. Joshua says, Samuel Aounweor wrote a lot about this. Yes, he did. We talked about him a good bit. Just wanted to throw that in there. Samuel Aounweor is a great author, so go check him out too. Okay, I guess I'm done. So thanks everybody for watching. This was a really long video. If you like this, make sure you comment, subscribe, like the video, whatever. You can check out our Patreon again. I would highly recommend. A lot of you really should go read our book because what we've done is we've combined all of the people that you already know, that you already watch, and we have further emphasized on all their information. I've helped Kelly put a lot of puzzle pieces together as well. I love Kelly to death. I love Bonacci as well. I love John St. Julian. I love everybody who knows everything about this stuff. We're gonna try to be changing the world together. That's really what we're doing here. Anybody who wants to collab with us, anybody who wants to talk more about sacred secretion, or if you want to, share some of your information, drop comments down, reach out to our email. You can go support us however you like. We're not gonna beg for money. You can do whatever you like. We really appreciate all the support. Thank you so much. Thanks to our new patron, Aphrodite. Really appreciate you as well. Yeah, guys, we love you. Seriously, this is all for truth. We don't care about any of the semantics. We don't care about any of the bullshit. We're probably some of the realest people that you're ever going to talk to, and we're not even 30 years old yet. That's because we've done a lot of this. We're going to do a special this holiday season. We're going to do 20% off the book if you do it through BookBaby. The promo code is going to be Sacred Secretion. So It's only going to be for like the first 25 books of people who get it, so you can go to bookbaby.com, type in Sacred Secretion for the promo code, and you will be able to get this for $80 rather than $100. So thanks again, guys. We love you. Take care.